Hello, my name's Allen Newberry, and today we're going to take a look at how I poured this pewter guard. This is kind of a pretty cool knife in a style that I've been wanting to do for a while. I recently did kind of a pair of similar knives, and this is the second of the two. And it has stacked micarta handle, which is kind of cool. It looks like leather, but it finishes out nicer, and I think it actually looks a little better. And it doesn't have the movement, the shrinking and swelling that leather would. It also has a whitetail deer antler on the handle, and laddered Damascus, and a poured pewter guard, which is what we're about to see. So to get started with that, first I of course make the knife, and I've got the handle put together. Aside from pouring the pewter guard, at this point it's all glued up and everything, and there's just a space at the top where the guard will be. And now I am making kind of the mold for it with a bit of poster board. And so I'm just going to wrap that around. I have a little bit of paper towel stuffed in there because there's a taller piece of micarta at the top, and the rest of the micarta wasn't as big. So I'm just kind of filling that void with a little bit of paper towel, just so that when I tape all this up, it won't be uneven. But yeah, so I'm just using painter's tape and the poster board and making a mold there for the pewter. The thing with pewter is it's not all that hot. I mean, it is hot, but it's just a little below what will burn paper. If you overheat it, it will burn the paper because it gets right up there close to where paper will burn, but just not quite over. And so I've got it all taped up there, as you can see. And my paper goes up a little higher than what I'm actually going to pour, because whenever I pour it, it actually ends up a bit oversized. So right here I'm using a lead-free plumbing solder, so you can see the brand there. And I've heard Britannia from Roto Metals is also good. And so now I'm just going to melt that with a torch. It's kind of cool to watch, and it's fun. I always like doing the casting thing, so I also have some videos on casting as well, so you might want to check those out. So basically, first I'm just getting this nice and melted. And like I said, it doesn't take that much to melt this. It's just kind of a real fun process. So now we're getting very close to where I want to be for pouring it. And so I've got the heat on there still so it doesn't start solidifying. And then I'm pouring it in there, trying to be careful not to overfill it or underfill it. As you can kind of see here, it makes a little arch on the top. So it kind of like the meniscus kind of thing, or maybe the opposite of that. But it kind of almost like a muffin top, I guess I would say. So eventually I will have to file and sand that down. I don't really do that in this video. It can be a bit tedious, but pewter is relatively soft, so it's not so bad for sanding. You're going to have to throw away little pieces of sandpaper pretty quick because they'll clog up. But the filing, if you're using a file, it clogs up your file pretty quick, so be aware of that. I think I kind of like the sandpaper better than I did the file. And I also taped up my blade before I did that filing and sandpapering, that way it wouldn't scratch my blade. So here we are on the unveiling of how this pour went. So you can see it didn't damage the blade any. I got a little bit of sootiness there on it, but I mean that just wiped right off with a paper towel. And here you go. And there's that little piece of paper towel. It wasn't actually, the paper towel's not touching the pewter. It's just underneath that shelf, making it not an awkward shape to tape up. And I poured my guard a little oversized. That way, whenever I'm sanding and filing, it gets, kind of rid of that strange surface texture, and it tends to kind of not go all the way to the end of the mold, sometimes like right at the seams. So I can just grind right through that, and we'll have no problem. Here I'm showing it to you just a little bit better. And you can kind of still see, like I was saying, that kind of rounded off top, kind of a little muffin top kind of thing. And it doesn't really look like much here, but we'll do a little grinding here in a minute, and that's going to clean it up quite a bit, and then I'll start shaping it. So it's poured in place, but how I cast it is not how it ends up looking in the end, because then I go back and work on it. Kind of like if I was to file a hole into a piece of steel to use as the guard, it wouldn't necessarily be the final shape then. You can come back and do more shaping. So here's the start of the shaping, and I'm not going to video the rest of the shaping, but you can kind of get the idea of where it's headed. And then now we can take a look at the finished knife. And here's the knife. I guess it's almost finished. I still have a couple things to do on it, but close enough. And I think it's turning out really nice. I love how the stacked micarta looks. It's a thing that I picked up from Lynn Ray, who's a master smith in Central Arkansas. And I thought that looks really great. And it's kind of a Skagel-ish looking knife in a way, but maybe a bit more modern. I don't know. It's a really nice kind of classic hunter look. And I'm quite fond of how this one turned out. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and check out my other videos on knife making and casting and that sort of thing. And thank you for watching.